I think where they can interact with Facebook and Twitter
Yep.
and even the YouTube lives and stuff,
Yeah.
I just think are so good. I do.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's more interactive. I really do.
Oh, it is.
Because I lose stuff on my email. Like, crud, I got an email 6 hours ago. I remember I got it. Then I got to go back and respond to it.
Yeah. I've got like, and I've got like 3 emails and.
Right. So to go through all that process, I think that's why I think email lists are good, but I'm not.
Yeah.
You got to have them. You do, because Facebook can shut your stuff down or.
Exactly. At least the email list you own.
Yes.
There it is. I tell you what, at some point during this, if you want to let it so I can share my screen and I'll give them a sample.
All right, we're starting here. All right, we're starting. Hold on. So you want me to share your screen, my screen? You want the ability to?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that anytime you want. All right, so what we're going to talk about, we're live, Coach. Cool. We're going to talk about, I'm watching here. I'm going to turn it over to you as I watch kind of the back end. So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, I think trying to remember what we talked about so much last time. It was mostly geared towards, why don't many teams run Princeton? And we got into that a lot because it was it's just not a lot out there. It was very, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow. It's just very secretive from the very beginning because those guys just didn't want anyone else to have the advantage. They knew the advantage they had to help the Ivy League players compete with the rest of the country, and they didn't want anyone else to have it. So that mentality just kind of stuck with the offense. Everyone who learned it didn't want to give it away. And I was the exact same way. So when I became a head coach, I was about 8 years into my coaching career. I got my first head coaching job. I had this playbook. It's not as nice as my playbook now, but I had this playbook all done up. And I wouldn't even give it to my assistant coaches.
I know. You showed I had a couple of people reach out and they said they were trying to zoom in on your playbook and they go, "Oh my God, that's only like a third of it. Like you couldn't even lay it all out."
No, I could. Well, then everything was on the back of it too. So I thought it was pretty cool pictures. We bought that cheap rubber mat for our gym down in the basement. I'm like, oh, that'd be kind of a cool background. That'd be a cool picture. Yeah. I tried zooming in on it too, just make sure you couldn't see it then because I want to show a little bit of it tomorrow. I will show you a little bit of it now. You want to check that out?
Yeah, let's do that. Show me some. I think that would be really cool. I think people would really like to see that.
I thought we'd talk some X's and O's today because we're gonna get because you have to be very meticulous when you're teaching the Princeton offense because if you mess something up early on and you don't get the foundation right, it's going to be you're going to have a really hard time getting to the more advanced stuff. So we're going to talk a lot about the concepts on the first day, and the second day we're going to talk about the X's and O's. And if you get through the second day, this is the playbook I have, and this is very cool. And a lot of coaches say they don't run it because it's just so complicated. So what I've tried to do, is that coming in okay? Because
it's perfect. Yeah.
So what I've tried to do, and this playbook, Steve, this thing's handmade. Now, not like hand.
Are you graphic? Do you have graphic design thing? Because
I don't, but I'm a techie. I'm kind of nerdy.
Okay.
You see some of my forms, my scouting reports, and practice plans are the same way. I like making clean, easy to see stuff. But when it comes to breaking down the Princeton. This right. So I probably should save this for the thing, but I want to tell you anyway. It's getting the language right is huge. Getting the terminology, because you can pretty much talk to your kids in a terminology that the other, some of it they're gonna say, okay, I know what those words are, but I don't know what those words mean. And right. I've broken the offense down into a way that's easier to understand the whole thing. So basically, Princeton has your core sets and series, and we're going to talk about this on Wednesday. So the core 4 sets of the Princeton are the low post series, the chin series, the point series, and the one that no one ever talks about is the open series, or the Princeton guys call it 1-2-2. I just stuck with open because I liked it a little better because of some other stuff that we do.
And open, from the read and react guy, open feels like read and react, and it has some of the same principles.
It does, and a lot of and this is why, for me, and some coaches are more roll the ball out and play, and you'll find a lot of read and react coaches have that personality. They want to roll the ball out and just pass, cut, move, play. Princeton's a little more structured. So when we get in the open series in Princeton, when we go backdoor, we're doing something specific. or if we're coming to get a handoff, you're doing something specific, but your players still have the choice to go backdoor or come get a handoff. They can do either one they want. So they have the freedom, but
Right.
the offense, the system itself is still set up that the next move is the back door is going to help them get into the post, or is going to get the next guy open. And we're going to talk about that on Wednesday. But you have your core series. So you see this black bars is how I organize the core sets and series. The orange bar, now these will be the headers. So if I can go down to the next one.
Well, first of all, before we even do that, go back up. So it says in the top 21 pages. This is just a sampling of the whole thing is how many pages? What are you at? Like 90 now? 120?
I'm around, I think it's around 90. Yeah. And
every time I talk to you, it's like 10 more pages.
Yeah. So it takes, it's hard to, it is kind of like that, but it takes me a while to, again, because I'm not using a software. I do this all by hand. So every line, every draw, and every curve, I've got to do by hand.
Okay.
So it takes me a long time, but we've got something really exciting that we're going to talk about on Wednesday that's going to add to this exponentially. By the time I'm completely done, it'll probably be 150, 250 pages. But but this is just a 21-page version.
Okay.
But I've broken it down so it's easy to understand. This is to be the best playbook that you've ever seen in basketball history, as far as I'm concerned. I've seen a lot of them. But at the top of every single page, there's going to be a black bar or an orange bar or a blue bar. So the black bar just talks about, hey, this is a core fundamental core 4 series set: low post, chin, point, and open.
It's like Granable. Are you old enough to remember Granables or Granable, those things, those clothing things? So basically you just match. If you want black, you look for the black bar, and that's a core set. If you're looking for like blue, it's a fake. Okay.
Yeah.
It's a matching thing.
So that was the idea. I didn't get that from that. I thought I was smart and made this up on my own, but I'm sure someone else has done it.
It's a clothing thing when I grew up. See, I'm old enough. They used to have like a blue bear and a blue bear, and then the tops and the bottoms went together. Swear to God. It was like one of those 80s things, 70s things. Anyway, go ahead. I digress.
No, so if you see an orange bar, this is where we talk about entries and false motion. So I really don't like the term false motion. I like the term strategic motion, but the announcers on TV call these things false motion. I don't know if I've met a Princeton guy who really calls them false motion, because one, you can use a false motion to use more time off the floor. So if you need to play more deliberate, it's very good false motion. But it's also strategic because you're putting players in position to come off the screen or the cut or the situation, so you can manipulate your players and put them where you want to get the kind of action that you want. But anytime you see an orange bar, we're talking about how do you enter the offense, or what kind of false motion entry is there into the offense. The light blue bar are phases and combos. Now this will give a lot away. The phases is in combos. So when you hear they talk about combos, how do you run one set with another set?
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
That's kind of what. Yep. So that's what we'll get deep.
So you would use like chin and open or something together.
Yeah. So if you want to run chin and then open after that, that would be a combo, or that would be a phase.
Okay.
I'm not gonna. I could talk about this one page for about an hour and a half. So I'll try to, and we're going to get into it deeper, exactly what all of this means, a phase, because what's a phase and what's a counter? Well, a counter is defense takes something away, so you have a counter.
Okay.
So Princeton has that.
Okay.
And you can see it says count. I don't know if if anyone can see, but it says counters and audibles. So what's an audible? So counter, the defense takes it away. You have a counter. There is always a counter in the Princeton offense. There's always a counter. You can't get stuck anywhere. Like you run, if someone busts a set play, you have to find the point guard, dribble back out, look at the coach. What do you want to run, coach? And the whole time someone's just guarding the snot out of you.
Right.
I never liked that. So we have counters. We never get stuck. And what I'm calling audibles, it's, it could be the same thing as a counter, but an audible is a player's decision. So whoever has the ball, in my mind, running Princeton's a quarterback.
Right.
All right. And we teach them all like they're quarterbacks. So it doesn't matter if it's your best player or one of your 8-9 role player. They're all going to, when they have the ball, they're going to operate like they're a quarterback. And that actually raises their level of play. I mean, it's a little kind of little mind trick that we use. Hey, you have the ball, you're the quarterback. All right. And then it really kind of helps your players out that way. But an audible is a player's decision. Hey, they're not really taking this away, but I want to get to the next thing because, I'm a role player and I don't do good with this set. So I want to run an audible and I want to get the ball off of a drift because that's where I'm good.
Right.
So your individual role players can audible into something that helps them out. Whereas
Okay.
your superstars, your best players, they can pretty much deviate whenever they want to
Right.
get and create their own shot. Your other players can't do that. So that's what this offense is so good about. If you have role players, you don't have to hide them. You just have to let them run and execute the offense until they get to a spot where they can use the offense to get their shot, or they can get to a spot on the floor where they can audible, and then they've run the offense. They know where their shots are going to come from.
Right.
Hey, this is my shot. Hey, I'm going to catch the ball in this position, but this isn't something that I'm good at scoring. So I'm going to make the next move, get it to the next guy, and let them play. And then when it comes to me in my spot, I'm going to audible so I can get the shot that I want.
Okay. And then what are the others? So then there's 2 more levels after that. What are the other 2 levels?
Yeah, green bar or wrinkles and misdirections. I love the word wrinkle because it's just like a little wrinkle in space with this. So it's a curveball. It's like the set is set up to look like your core set, your core phase. But then we have a wrinkle. Then we have a special call. And then we wrinkle off of that, or it's a misdirection. So we're going to set them up. They're going to think we're doing one thing because they've seen it, they've scouted it, and then it's completely set up.
Something they haven't seen on film, right? Yeah.
Completely set up to juke them out.
Okay.
So, and then the last one are extra sets and series. So there's more core, there's more series, there's more sets, more series than what's just in that core 4. They get more advanced or more intricate. There's more stuff to them. And there's some creative stuff that I've even kind of put together that really didn't fit anywhere, and I kind of put them into that bar as well.
Okay. All right. And then what's so that's just the beginning part. Then just give us a gist of the other things.
Yeah. That right there is worth its weight in gold right there.
Right.
Just to understand all of that. It just makes the offense, again, coaches don't want to run it because it's too complicated.
Right.
But that's outside looking in. Once you're in the inside and kind of can see it the way that I've kind of put it together.
I think that's the biggest I think that's the biggest thing. I swear to God, from talking to coaches over the last month or so, I think that's the biggest, like, whoa, what are you talking about? You can't do this.
Yeah. This is an earlier version of the table of contents. This is almost 3 pages long now.
Okay.
Just kind of breaking it down. So
the different series. Okay.
Yeah. We're going to talk about the dribble drive and triangle a little bit. I don't know if I'll have enough time to do that or not. There's so much in Princeton, but you can run, if you like dribble drive, you can run that seamlessly with Princeton. If you like the triangle, you run seamlessly with Princeton.
Really?
Oh yeah. It's actually, I remember Pete Carrill saying one time, it's like Jordan would have been the perfect player to run in Princeton because it's very similar principles. Now, Princeton does more to help the player get their shots, where triangle does more to put players in position to make plays.
Okay. And what about dribble drive?
Dribble drive is just if you got players that can get in, play in space, and finish at the rim.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you got 4 really good guards, I like running dribble drive out of transition and then getting right into our low post.
Oh, I like that. Okay.
Yeah. Here's some terminology or some other stuff. I'll kind of get down here. So here you go. Here's the first bar in the low post series. You can see it starts out in orange bar. So these are some entries. Just to get into the low post series. And this is what every single page of my playbook looks like. I'll kind of zoom in. I don't know if you're watching on your phone.
Yeah, we got it. That's good.
There you go. So I try to not put too many lines on one diagram. Sometimes you see plays in your playbook and you can't see what's happening first, second, third, or they'll put a little one slash in one line and 2 slashes in another and 3 slashes, order. And I always I look at diagrams and I'm like, I can't do that. And I put it away and figure it out myself. But I try to really make it as simple as possible. And this is the very first page. So, if we're running low post, we're going to pass to the wing, cut through, and fill to the point. Now there's 3 ways that I'll tell this point guard to cut to the wing, and I diagram that out. So here we're just going to pass and cut. And so I don't know, Steve, you guys do this with your read and react when you guys run this? We always tell our point guards and our guards to change their speed, change their direction. Do you ever do that with your offense? Hey, as an offense,
a lot.
As your offense, you need to change the speed of the offense and change the direction of the offense. So, for example, here we'll pass it to the 3 here, and then instead of just passing and cutting, we're going to pass. We're going to hezzy. We're going to pass. We're going to stand up for a split second, then cut.
Yeah.
And it changes the speed.
I demonstrate that early in the season too. I'll just, Yeah, well, I'll show them. It's like if you're just, let's say you just start walking on offense once in a while. They go, "What do you mean?" I go, "Just it's a change of
Yeah.
pace."
You don't have to
If you
go.
watch NBA guys, all of a sudden they'll be walking and they'll go from 0 to 95 in about a millisecond.
Yeah.
And the defender's like caught off guard because they're kind of resting.
Yeah.
It's
I
that,
tell you,
yeah,
a lot of coaches don't like their players to stand. Now, especially now on defense, I get it. No standing on defense. You're in a stance all the time. But on the offensive side, I love standing
right.
because what happens when you stand as an offensive player? What's your defender do? If they're not disciplined, they're going to say, "Oh, he's relaxing. I'm going to relax." Boom. Then
Right. It's human nature. It's human nature. Yeah, I
Yes.
agree.
So we'll tell them here that, well, there's one way to cut. There's two ways to cut, and the third one, instead of passing hezzy, we're going to pass and walk. So I'm going to pass the ball. I'm going to start walking like I'm going to go maybe set a screen, boom, and then cut. So that's
Right.
all of it, all in one pass on our entry in our low post series. And so like when first day of practice, we're putting in low post, I will put all three of these in the first day. But what I don't do is I don't say, "Hey, we're going to pass and cut." Then everyone pass, hezzy, and cut. I'm going to tell the players, "Hey, here's the 3 ones. You work on them on your own, and they'll find out which ones work for them."
Right.
And then it kind of gives them a little bit of responsibility too. They don't have to rely on me telling them to, "Hey, make sure you stand and make sure you run in that spot." I make sure that I tell them, "Hey, you got to run all these spots. So all these spots." That's another conversation. But so anyway, so there's the low post stuff. Here's all of the cuts off of the low post series. You got low post corner, low post cut, low post screen away. And when we talk about terminology, as much as humanly possible, Princeton teams, they call the plays what they are or the players involved. So this is simply put, low post corner means throw the ball in the low post, cut to the corner. Okay. And it's not something you have to call out loud because once your players know it because you practice it. But in a game, the ball goes down to the 5 and everyone's watching the 3. What's the 3 do? Because that's going to tell everyone else what to do. And after the 3 cuts to the corner, okay, now we're running low post corner.
So how do you get them to fill? Because my guys have a hard time filling sometimes.
Yeah.
It's not natural to fill.
It's not. And that's, I read a lot of comments since I've only been online with basketball for like the last 9-10 months. So I haven't been around nearly as long as you. I'm just kind of jumping into the game here. But the comments that I read in your group and a lot of groups are, "I can't get my guards to fill." And I think in a lot of those offenses, it has to do with the lack of structure. If you have a very highly intelligent, a high IQ basketball player, they'll know to fill. One of the number 1 or number 2 mottos in the whole Princeton offense is watch the guy in front of you. They'll tell you what to do. So we tell them that, and then we just rep the living snot out of it. We are heavy into repetition because it's always next guy up. If the guy in front of you is moving,
right,
you're moving. And we do. I'm a big believer in repetition. Repetition's the mother of all skill. It's the mother of all muscle memory. I think that
yes,
we don't do enough of it. My biggest pet peeve, and I've been an assistant coach at 3 different programs in my career, and all head coaches have done this. They'll take the starters on this side of the floor, and they'll take the next 5 guys on this side of the floor with the assistant coach. "You guys go run this here. We're going to run it here." And we never get the type of reps that are good enough to, because then we get into a game, and as soon as we sub 1 or 2 guys in, those kids have not played with these ones. They don't know. They mess something up. Now you can't run that set play. Then you're right. All right, 4 out, whatever, run your motion and stuff like that.
I agree. I agree. And the thing is, this goes back to my education thing too. It's like, as a math teacher, the movement in education is less practice. You have to practice math to be good at it. You have to. There's something that happens in your brain, and it's the same in practice. If you have to, there are things in life that you have to grind out. I'm sorry. It's not anyway, we can get a whole small sided, because if you're on the internet enough, there's this whole don't do drills ever in practice. And it's hold on. I don't think you should have ice cream for dinner every night, but I also don't think you should just have, vegetable. I mean, I think there's balance is a key. And that goes back to what I was talking with you. I think that there's things you have to drill. I'm sorry. You have to drill in practice.
Yeah. You haven't seen me do this yet. So So I don't know if you said, I don't know if you're going to be on tomorrow, but if you're
Tomorrow
on,
I can't, but Wednesday I will be.
all right,
So I
and
think you're going to do it on
you got your
Wednesday.
assistants on there, right? So I'm going to
Yeah,
talk them into talking you into running Princeton this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, so when it comes to drills, when we actually started breaking, and we'll talk about this probably on Wednesday, maybe a little bit on Monday.
So for people that are listening, you can still sign up. There's still a few spots. It's
go to
hoopsprinceton.com. www.teachhoopsprinceton.com. So it's easy. Teach Hoops Princeton. So you put them together. www.teachhoopsprinceton.com. It's hoops, not hoop. Hoopsprinceton.com. Okay, go ahead.
There you go. So so it's when I started. So when I got hired as a head boys coach, first thing I did was I was fortunate enough. I flew out to the Air Force Academy and watched them practice. This was after Joe Scott was there, but the system was still there. And I came back, changed my terminology, but I was trying to figure out, how do you guys run the offense? How do you guys run it? How do you guys execute the offense? Or, how do you break it down? And everyone's asking me, how do you break it down? What drills do you do? So in the first 2 years I did this, I broke the offense down 3-on-0, 4-on-0, and I turned them into drills. And my third year, I completely stopped doing that. And I've heard Princeton coaches say this for like the previous 10 years, like, we don't do anything 3-on-0, 4-on-0. Everything we do is 5-man, 5-on-0, 5-on-5. So once it took me 2 years as a head coach to learn that lesson. And it's awkward, it's different, but once we started doing it and repping.
And would you work on one specific skill?
No, we work on, you're getting right into, we could just like go right into the mastermind right now, because
So give me just a tidbit, so people will tune in tomorrow.
Yeah. Do you teach whole part whole? Do you break your offense down whole part whole?
I do, but I don't. But I do. For my entire career, I've done more 5-on-5 than anything.
Yeah.
Because I wanted 10 kids. It's like two ball dribbling. I like 2-ball dribbling rather than 1-ball dribbling, because you're doing twice as much. It's similar to 5-on-5. I try to do as much as I can 5-on-5. Because I have 10 of the 12 or 15 boys doing something. Like, they're either playing man, or they're either doing our offense, or they're playing defense, rather than just that. So I don't necessarily like the breakdown much as but I do. Yeah.
The hardcore Princeton guys will say that. So I read Bill Carmody said this. I heard him say this either on a video, or I think I read it in an article. They don't. And this is to the extreme. This is Bill Carmody. This is like Pete Carrill's 1, Bill Carmody's 2. They don't work on their defense at all. Now at Northwestern, they would run a 1-3-1,
right,
and they wouldn't get real complicated with it. But they're like, we guard our offense, for an hour 45 a day. We get our defense working then, and that is the extreme. And I am not there. I promise you, I'm not there.
Right.
We actually put the offense in, and coaches will say, well, I don't want to spend my whole practice running this offense. And we only spend 30 to 35 minutes a day actually on the offense. Strictly, this is all we're working on is the offense. We don't break it down whole part whole anymore. That's what I did. When I did it 3-on-0, 4-on-0, I showed them, hey, this is low post. Okay, now let's go break down low post. Okay, this is chin. Okay, now let's go break it down 3-on-0. Now which if you do a 3-on-0, there's 2 spots that aren't there. Okay, now you got to go do another drill to fill those 2 spots, and then you run that drill, and then you got to run another chin drill to, kind of get another 2 spots.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you spend 5 minutes a drill, there's 15 minutes you've done there, and then every time that they rep that, they're not. If you try to do a drill 3-on-0, 4-on-0, you watch your players; they'll start doing things, and you have to stop them. Well, because if you don't, they're
all cheaters. They're all cheaters. Yeah. They will not. They'll go this far from touching the line on a sprint. They will figure out how to not do the least amount, and they will not learn anything. This is somebody that's coached for 30 years, man. If they can, they will.
They don't, and they don't understand that. Hey, you're going to have a teammate standing right there, and where do you think his defender is? Right where you tried to drive. So that's a big reason why we don't do things 3-on-0, 4-on-0 anymore.
Right.
And anyway, and we're going to talk about how I break down the practice plan start to finish.
So break down the 3 days for me. So let's say let's just break down how the 3 days are going to work.
Yeah.
And then we'll go back and we'll finish. I stopped the screen share because I wanted to.
No, that's fine.
First.
I'll go through the simple version. I did have it written down, but I'll go through the simple version. Is day one is going to be, and it might be in a Facebook post in a group too, but day one is going to be the concepts.
And what do you mean by concepts?
So Princeton, they do things a little bit weird. They don't V cut to get open.
Right.
They don't L cut, circle cut. They don't pen and pop on the wing to get open. They don't set down screens with the purpose of getting open, because the whole philosophy of running the Princeton is our players are not going to be as good as your players, or not as fast, not as big, not as strong, not as long as your players. And if I'm on the wing, if I'm 5'10" on the wing, and even if my opponent's 5'10", but maybe they're so much quicker than I am, and you're asking me to make an athletic move and get open against that superior athlete.
Right.
Okay. That's advantage them. We're fighting their strength. We don't want to fight their strength. We don't, so for example, we don't run to the 3-point line to start and V cut to start our offense. They'll just get the heck off the 3-point line. They'll just start 5, 6, even in college, you'll see a good Princeton team just start 8, 9 feet off the 3-point line, because those pressure teams will come out and guard them even 2, 3 feet off the 3-point line. But if we're like 8 feet off the 3-point line, they just throw them the ball, they cut through, and now they're running their offense. And they just want to take the tension out. They don't want to fight the defense's strengths. They want to take those strengths and turn them into a weakness. So they won't V cut to get open. They just stand where they need to be open. And then you might ask, well, what if they come out and deny us way out here? Well, I love that, because if you're going to come out in full court and just pressure and deny a Princeton team, well, that's gravy. So we're just going to start. We're going to, if they deny that, we're not going to try to get open now. We're already 5 feet off the 3-point line. We're just going to throw the ball over there and play. Or if that guy's not open, we'll have the next thing. We'll wave them through. And if that guy's not open, then we're going to spin. And if that guy's not open, we're going back. And we just kind of. It's just like we talked about with the playbook. There's a counter for everything. If something's not open, there's another option. If that's not open, there's another option. So when we're talking about whole part whole, is we don't teach whole part whole. We use what I'm trying to find some language that would make sense. I'm just calling it the progression method. We just go step by step by step. This is what's going to happen first. And if that's taken away, we do this. And if that's taken away, we do this. We just go through that through the entire offense. And it takes a couple days longer, like first week of practice. But day 3, once you get to day 2, day 3, once you get to a certain part, eyes light up, and it's just like, Coach, I got it. I didn't know what you were trying to do, but now I see it.
Right.
And my whole problem as a player, I didn't get started until the 8th grade, got cut in the 7th grade. And I didn't really ever understand the game until I started coaching it. And even then it took some time. So one of my big focuses as a coach is I want my kids to understand the game. And once I saw kids' eyes light up, Coach, I understand, I get it. When I'm on the sideline, I don't have to call plays. I don't have to call things. I just give them suggestions. Hey, what about this? Hey, look at that. Hey, try this one this time. And I've had kids wave me off, say, no, Coach, I got it. I was like, okay, you got it. And it's when you have kids that really understand the game, you have player-led teams, and player-led teams are always better than coach-led teams. Always.
Oh, so much better. Okay, so that's day 1. Then what about day 2?
So day 2, day 2 will probably be the fun day for a lot of coaches, because that's going to be the X's and O's.
Okay.
And we're going to talk mainly about the core 4 series. So the low post series, the chin series, the open series, and the point series. Those are the core 4. A lot of coaches will say there's 3. They leave open out. I'm throwing open in there because if you got a 5, if you got a 5-man that can pass, you got to play open. And if you're playing small ball, you have to run the open series if you're playing small ball. It's just, you just have to do it. It's too good not to. And I've played against multiple. I've got a couple buddies that coach, and they run Princeton. They don't run it to the level that I do, but they run more simplified versions. But they'll run the 1 year. He actually coaches my alma mater. It's kind of funny, but they ran open and low and their chin, but their 5-man was like, he was literally 5'9", but he was crafty, athletic, not a great basketball player, but he could pass the ball and he could make plays. And when he got the ball in the open spot, he was so good. I put my 6'4" point guard on him. and just say, deny everything. Don't let him, when he catches the ball, we're in trouble. Don't let him catch the ball. And, we split that year. They beat us once, we beat them once, trying that same strategy. But the open series is excellent. If you're a small ball team, you don't have a traditional big, but
Okay.
we're going to hit on those 4 core series a lot. And we're going to talk a little bit about how we break the offense down in practice.
All right. And then what about day 3?
Day 3, we're going to talk about your players, because a lot of coaches will tell me, coach, I really, I like the offense. I love the sets. I know it works, but I don't have the right players. My players aren't smart enough. They're not skilled enough. And I've even had some coaches say, coach, my players are too good. They're too good. I can't rein them in like that. And I have a problem with that, because what we do